All right, now I'm just going to say this about the Las Vegas guy. First of all, I find it very convenient that his body was burned beyond recognition, but they found his passport, his military ID, and I believe
there was paper in there.
And there was, get the hell out of here. If you're going to have something so hot, it burns a human body beyond recognition, plastic and paper in that vehicle would be gone.
Look, there's a guy on Colonel Murray's crew who is a high-level EMT, is my understanding, my basic understanding of what he does with firefighters. And he said that those items don't survive something like that, especially in a contained environment.
Where else did we see something like that where a couple buildings caught on fire so hot it melted steel, but yet they found passports?
I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, man. This is such a glowy up. All right, let me do the
it's a ridiculous glowy up. Nothing has been confirmed except the Green Beret allegedly rented the truck from the Turo app and then drove to Las Vegas. Okay, so you rent a cybertruck, and I've seen the map of this. It would require him to make at least 8 stops to drive from Colorado to Vegas to recharge this damn truck.
Yes. Was it
That's
8
a
stops?
lot of time to
4.
think about. 8.
Was it 8?
It's a lot of time. Yeah, a lot of time. Please keep saying 8.
Stop it. Knock it off.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. That's okay.
Don't know whose body was in the truck. He was 37 years old, had 19 years in, a newborn, and my bad. Had a newborn and a wife. This doesn't make any sense, first of all.
But he was going, she had filed for divorce, and I believe he'd been divorced once before.
Okay.
And again, I'm not saying he did it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying, if you spend that much time in the service to become a master sergeant, and all of a sudden half your pension is going to some, walking set of tits you were married to for 10 years in a day, and you might feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
But if he was motivated to that level with his experience, setting off a bunch of fireworks with some kerosene and fuel is not the way to go, in my opinion. I talk about these techniques in my 3 novels in the Jericho Files, where I specifically go through the steps. And I've been out of the game for like 2 decades. All right. If I was on active duty, a master sergeant, a team daddy, he would have all of that information at his fingertips, plus it's burned into his head. And all of those guys know how to use the Green Beret Express, meaning if you're motivated, you can get your hands on anything you want. Anything you want. Just saying. All right, continue on.
And this guy, I mean, that I recall, you guys cross-trained each other all the time.
Correct.
You would have like micro classes. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do this today. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that today.
Yeah.
And the medic would do something, and the commo guy would do something, and the engineer would do something, and so on and so forth.
I was basically heavily cross-trained as the 18 Charlie, and then my primary job was 18 Bravo.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw that shit all the time. You guys were always up to something. But this guy, none of this is making sense.
No.
The Tesla truck, what he chose for the explosive charge is like something that I would do. And guess what I know about explosives? I know exactly this much about explosive. I can light fireworks off.
Now, you could go to Home Depot.
Probably figure out how to blow up a gas can.
Yeah, you can go to Home Depot. You can go to Kroger's. You can go to Walmart. You can go to Ace Hardware, the mom and pop hardware stores. All of the stuff you need to make something incredibly lethal could be, you can find it on the shelves.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it on the shelves, you can find something similar, and there's just a few simple chemical reactions and filtering you can do to purify the stuff. You could do it in a garage if you really wanted to. The Oklahoma City bombers literally built all that stuff with information they got from Poor Man's James Bond, Anarchist Cookbook, and some active duty experience.
The Anarchist Cookbook is full of booby traps. By the way,
if you
for
get the
any of you
original version,
geniuses out there.
it's not.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that I know anything about that or anything. I'm just saying.
I mean, it was your job for, a substantial chunk of your life.
But
the bomb that went off in that truck, and it was so ineffectual that a lot of people just thought it was some sort of battery malfunction at first. I thought it was a battery malfunction at first.
When I saw it, I'm like, and then I saw like the fireworks sprinkles, and I'm like, oh, no. Somebody setting up fireworks. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, but it turns out that the truck is made out of stainless steel.
Yep.
And basically what this guy inadvertently did was build a shape charge.
Yes. And here's another thing. I looked at some of the security footage, and all of the security footage I reviewed, you don't see the report of a 50 caliber Desert Eagle going off inside the car.
You're going to hear that.
First of all, you're going to hear it. It's going to be a huge flash, and it might just blow out the windows.
Yeah. Yep.
None of that's on the security camera.
That's enough of a concussive report that it might even cause a little bit of vibration in the cameras.
Yeah.
Because it's a contained area. You had the contained vehicle inside a contained area. That was like a drive-through, dropping the people off spot.
It was a valet area.
Yeah, valet area. Thank you. I don't know why that was so complex for me, but
it happens. You're drinking. I got you. It happens to me all the time.
I've had exactly one beer in the last hour and a half. So
right.
I have a higher constitution than that, dude. I've got like a 17 constitution.
Yeah, and I watched the Ryan show when they talked to one of his somebody that knew him, and they're like, "This is not him at all." And if they actually killed this guy to turn him into a patsy for this bullshit, I mean, that is just egregious. And I read his dossier about the UFO drone thing.
The manifesto.
Yeah.
Okay, look, somebody threw that up on Colonel Murray's roundtable chat that I've got access to. You actually have access to that as well.
Yes.
And I read that, and then I compared it with some of the emails and everything. The same person did not write those emails and that manifesto. It's not the same person.
Well, yeah. I mean, typically...
It isn't. I have a shitload of experience in looking at stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a tempo to how people write.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can tell when I write shit because you need to depop it. And
yeah, like I know you're writing. I know you're writing instantly when I see it. Your rating has like a nuclear signature. Really.
Yeah.
So, tale of two companies here. Apple refused to aid law enforcement after the Riverside terror attacks in 2015, but after the Cybertruck exploded in Vegas, Musk and Tesla immediately began aiding law enforcement with the truck's data, video, and travel history. Interestingly, we haven't seen much video from that.
Yeah.
From the truck itself.
I mean, we did have a huge attack take place in Las Vegas that dropped off the radar within 10 days of it happening. We've never heard any of the outcome of the lawsuits. We can't get any of the inside information.
You mean the big Vegas, right?
Say that again?
The
It
big
came in-
Vegas shooting?
Yes. Yeah, the one that had the 2 different machine guns there, and it wasn't a bump
Okay,
stock.
so here is my theory on why that got shut up.
Okay.
Vegas was built by the mob, by one of the head guys, one of Meyer Lansky's head guys from an outfit called Murder Inc. out of New York.
Yes.
Vegas was built as a mob city to make money and launder money without anybody paying any attention. So you have an event like that in a place like Vegas. That night, several security guys were probably driven out to the desert with a shovel. Okay? And local officials, particularly in law enforcement, were probably handed large chunks of money to fuck off. And then the feds were just told to fuck off. Feds are easier to tell to fuck off than you would think. It's not that hard to tell feds to fuck off.
Yeah, I know.
I think the mob defended their money printing industry. I think that's why Vegas was covered up. Did shit happen there? I have no doubt in my mind that there was shady shit all over that.
There was
But I
2
think the
belt-fed machine guns. There was a medium machine gun, and there was a light, a saw, basically, a 5.56 and a 308 belt-fed machine gun.
But I think it was covered up because the mob didn't want anybody touching their money printing machine.
I don't know. All I could say is that was a big event, and if that was allowed to take place, then people need to get run up the flagpole. Period. We should not be covering for this crap, especially big casualty producing events. No, I'm sorry.
It's been going on forever.
I know, but
it's absolutely been going on forever. I agree with you 110%. The only solution is for the redonkulous regiment to become the redonkulous regime.
Fair enough.
Let's just take the country over one elected seat at a time.
Okay.
And it'd be legitimate. Not a shot would be fired. Nobody would be able to shove us around. That'd be a formidable thing. Anyway, with this Vegas thing, the other thing is with the gunshot and all of that, you look at the picture of the damn inside of the vehicle. I've got it here. Let me share the correct screen sharing window. Here we go. The cause of death was an intraoral gunshot wound by suicide. Okay, the exit wound would have been on the left side of the head, ostensibly. There's the guy seated up, and there's no blood or anything on the window. Now, correct me if I am wrong, Master Sergeant Pop of the 18 Bravo Persuasion, but typically when one applies a 50 cal weapon to one's head, there is what one would refer to as spatter.
Yes. I mean, that round will whip right through your cranium like it wasn't even there.
And would leave some visible result.
It would blow out the window.
Yeah.
I did not
along with the flecks of brain and bone and what have you.
Yeah, it would cover the inside of that car with his brains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it basically what's the term? I think it's canoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy, clearly you can see from the photo, the body inside the burning vehicle there, his head is intact, the window is intact, there's no goop.
If he did it through his mouth, there'd be a hole in the ceiling.
You could see the thing behind him, behind his head.
I am not buying the fact that he shot himself just before he detonated the bomb. I'm just not. You cannot see the pistol signature in the video footage right before it goes off.
Yeah, none of that makes any sense at all.
But the Teslas, they can drive themselves.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That's
It's
and this guy
just not adding up, man. It's
No,
just
none of
not
this.
adding up.
This guy was a team sergeant too. That's from my understanding. You don't get put into team sergeant by being a schlub.
Oh no.
And if he was doing SF intelligence and operations, we worked alongside that kind of thing. This guy would have to be pretty damn sharp and have gone through some of the courses at Huachuca.
And not to
get
mention,
to that.
You go through a psycho eval every time you come back from over the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We had our own psychologist on staff. We had a psychologist on staff. But none of this is adding up. None of this is making any real sense at all.
It is adding up for a glowy op.
Yes, this absolutely reeks of glowy op. This is I'm stumbling over words to say about this because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
And it got more ridiculous right before we came on the show when, again, Colonel Murray, you're getting all kinds of shout outs tonight, man, because a lot of this stuff I got from the chat that you guys had going. You guys were really vocal about this. Matthew Livelsberger, a decorated soldier, used generative AI tools like ChatGTP to plan the explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck. Oh, shit. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Authorities found that he searched for information on explosives, ammunition speed, and legal fireworks prior to the incident. Sheriff Kevin McMahill remarked that this is the first known case in the U.S. involving AI in such a context, describing it as such a concerned moment.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Full-blown bullshit flag.
Yeah.
Bullshit. No 18 is going to need to go and fucking look this shit up like a kid looking for titties.
You are correct.
It makes no sense at all. This whole article makes no sense at all. These police statements make zero sense.
Yep. Now, I have no idea what they were thinking. I'm trying to figure out what the end goal is for the shit that they just did, and I am at a loss.
Yeah,
I really am.
I'm baffled myself. This is like, nothing here makes sense. Now, on top of all of that, this all just disappears.
Yeah, it's only been a week.
This is 2 attacks on New Year's Day in 2 of the most significant cities in America for New Year's Day, New Orleans and Vegas, both known to be party epicenters for New Year's.
Yep.
Alongside of New York, Times Square.
Correct.
And it's just gone. It's like it never happened.
It's because our media outlets are owned by 6 corporations, and they are doing their best to try to guide us down the memory hole. And it's up to us and you people out there to not let this story fucking die.
Yeah. We have become the media, and even Elon Musk has acknowledged that this is what's called above the fold. It's an old newspaper term, which means the first thing you see when you look at the front of the newspaper. It's always supposed to be the most important stories of the time. We've got LA declares emergency as wildfires. I've been there for a wildfire. It's a lot of fun. Trump announces we're going to be changing the name of Gulf of Mexico, which is nothing short of awesome.
Yes.
And Denmark's prime minister sends blunt message to Trump, and Obama bros trash Biden. That's the above the fold. A week ago, we had 2 major attacks in American cities. Let's look at CNN real quick. Residents flee wildfires. Trump lobs global threats. After they moved to Spain, her husband was diagnosed with cancer. Why they decided to stay. What the actual ass?
Yeah.
A week, just 6 days later, no mention of any of this stuff at all, which just further adds to Pop's assessment of this is a fucking glowy op. This is a glowy op. All of it. The whole thing.
Yes, it is. That's just our
Now, the
opinion.
question-
But
No, it's
my
not.
gut's telling me
Not-
that
it's-
this is not adding up. It's not adding up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my years of experience in that bullshit is telling me that this is a glowy up. It's not, in my opinion, it's not an opinion at this point. This is just. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'm just sitting here trying not to say all sorts of things that'll get us trashed on YouTube right now.
I know.
Because it's like,
This is not the first time that they've done this either.
no, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. But
mean,
this
that-
one here is of particular significance because Trump just won. It's New Year's Day in America, and they staged 2 attacks in 2 key cities for New Year revelry.
And both of those guys rent their vehicles from the same company.
Both rent from the same company. Both are associated with the military, but one is an absolute pogue. Let's face it, the guy's a pogue. He's a data analyst for human resources. You're a pogue.
Mm-hmm.
And the other guy is a highly skilled Green Beret. Again, you don't become a Green Beret ODA team leader by having butt sex in the Philippines.
Yeah.
You must have some skill and talent.
Oh, but let's just put this into perspective.
Fantastic.
To be an E8 team sergeant, he's probably got to have a minimum of 10 to 12 years on the teams.
Mm.
So
Operational in ODAs.
he's been the weapons sergeant or whatever his initial MOS was. Then, we've been at war for quite some time, so we know he did some deployments. They're always doing the high-speed, low-drag training. Those guys rub elbows with CAG, which is Delta by another name. Every time you rotate off sector, you're talking to a psychologist. All right, and then with that amount of training and skill set, he dies in a car with fuel and fireworks. Get the fuck out of here. And
yeah, absolutely.
none
of it makes any sense at all.
And it was so hot, it burned his body beyond recognition. But yet, 2 or 3 forms of ID was found.
And pieces of paper were found.
Yeah, get the hell out of here with that bullshit.
Look, if you are going to go crispy critter, we're talking temperatures in excess of 1,000.
Yeah.
Paper will just combust. It will just cease to be.
Yes.
It just turns to ash.
Correct. And that happens at 451 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level.
Fahrenheit 451. The Ray Bradbury novel is about burning books.
Yep.
If you've got 1,000 degrees inside of a contained space, anything that's paper doesn't even have to be in contact with the fire is going to combust and just be gone.
Return to carbon.
Yep.
Plastic, that shit's gone.
Melted to you at the very least.
Correct.
If it was like in a pocket or something like that, his clothing would turn to ash almost instantly. But anything plastic would be fused to his body.
And if they didn't put it out right away, which I don't think they did, that would be burned up too.
Yep.
I mean, literally, the inside of that vehicle was a crematorium.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot convince me that shit survived that. I'm sorry.
No.
I've been in the killing business for a long time. I know how shit rolls, man. And
yep.
That's not it.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. It is. And again, I've said it before. Our country has served up servicemen to Agent Orange. That was in a war zone, though. We tested nuclear warheads around our troops in the 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
Lots of guys dropped dead from that. Nobody gave a shit.
They jabbed our generation with the anthrax.
Yeah, I got the anthrax. That's why I didn't
Yep.
take the actual COVID jab, because I've been down this road before.
Mm-hmm.
We've had MK Ultra. If you look, like the Tuskegee Airmen that were injected with syphilis and not told
Oh
for
yeah, that was
decades.
yeah. Yep.
We've had them test various chemicals, biological agents right off the shores of our very own country and let the wind take it into the general population.
They sprayed LSD over a town just to see what would happen back in
Yeah.
the 50s.
Now, listen, this is getting out of fucking control here. This should not be allowed to happen, in my opinion. People need to be held accountable.
There's only one way this could happen, the way that it has happened. And I have held this opinion for some time now, that what we call the federal government is, in fact, not our government at all, but another entity entirely. No normal government of a population drawn from the population is going to so callously just abuse its citizens like this. We are I have been referring to the federal government lately as OGUS, the occupational government of the US. I think we're an occupied country and have been for some time and don't realize it. Now, who the occupiers are specifically, I think it's more than one group, and a lot of it emanates from places like Davos
Yes.
and Beijing.
The WEF.
I don't think Washington, D.C. is a United States entity any longer. I think we are living under OGUS. I think we're living under an occupied government. There's no reason that anybody, no sane government, even the Japanese, who are some hardcore motherfuckers, don't treat their citizens like this.
Yep. You are correct.
I don't like to be correct in moments like this. I have
No,
no
I
interest
mean-
in being correct in moments like this.
I mean, this shit is fucked up, man. And
Yeah.
First of all, they allowed the rumor is a brigade of enemy fighters are now on the American soil. That's 15,000 guys. You divide that by 50, that's 300 people per state.
Yo, hey, a brigade
A brigade.
is 3 to 5 battalions. A battalion is 440 dudes. A
Mhm.
division, a reinforced division, is 15,000.
Okay, then we have a reinforcement.
Sorry, I'm the OB. I'm
fine.
the OB guy.
But that's
the OB guy.
300 people.
Yeah.
Vaguely per state.
Yeah.
And we have so many useless idiots or useful idiots to be the cannon fodder. And they've already done this rehearsal for BLM and Antifa.
Mhm.
The infrastructure is in place,
Yeah, I agree.
you know, and I mean, this is some creepy ass shit. And it literally, the Democrats have literally staged this entire thing. And the Republicans looked the other way while it was happening.
Well, they're all getting their pockets lined.
Yes.
They don't care. They're all getting their pockets lined.
That's right.
One of the big concerns that Matt Bracken, the SEAL, likes to voice is the very real possibility that there are shipping containers of weapons inside the United States. And the fact of the matter is that while nobody has actually found a container full of weapons, less than 3% of the shipping containers that come into the United States of America didn't get inspected. So while nobody has actually opened a container and found a bunch of AKs and RPGs, it's a very, very real possibility.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Which is more than a little scary. On the other hand, I'd love to find one of those containers.
Well, more than likely, it would A, be guarded, B, probably be rigged. If you didn't know how to open it, you'd have a very short career
Unpleasant day.
in, lock picking.
Right.
And if you get caught with any of that stuff, they're going to run you up the flagpole.
Well, now I have to find one.
I'm just saying, man.
That's the
Yeah, like I don't know what else to say other than, we're fucked.
I know.
We are so
I hear you.
fucked. And if you think this is going to just miraculously go away, you're out of your fucking mind. I would love for it to peacefully go away and be able to fix this.
Oh God,
But
yes.
There's too many people already in here that don't want it to go down that way. And we have a whole government that doesn't want, patriots and people who love this country to run the show.
That's why I believe we're living under an OGUS. That's
Yes.
why I believe we're living under an occupational government. Because it doesn't make sense that we refuse to defend our own borders with our own troops. It doesn't make sense that we refuse to hunt down pedophiles or terrorists. It doesn't make sense that we allow militarized gangs to roam the United States freely. None of this makes sense if you have a government that cares about your country.
Correct.
Look at Poland. Look at Poland, for example. They don't allow any of that shit to go on because their government is pro-Poland.
Yep.
But here in the US, it's insane. And when I talk about militarized gangs, we've mentioned this before. The Mexican Special Forces, 2 battalions of Mexican Special Forces switched sides back in, I think it was back in the 1990s. They're like, I'm making more money doing drug shit. And now you've got actual Special Forces battalions as cartel soldiers.
And those guys were trained in the School of Americas.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Fort Benning and Fort Bragg.
Yeah. I fought those guys in Panama when we jumped into 89, the Macho Diamante.
Were they competent?
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Luckily, Spectre showed up about 30 minutes into it and started spanking people.
Spectre has a way of adjusting people's attitudes about things.
Yeah.
Spectre will adjust your attitude.
Yeah.
The thing that I heard, and I never had any kind of contact with that, my combat days are exactly 0. I did some long range patrols and shit like that, but there were 4 of us, and if we got caught, we were screwed. So you don't seek combat.
You're dead.
But the thing that I heard about those guys that were trained at the School of Americas is it very rarely made it past 2 iterations once they got home. We could train them up and they'd be competent, and they would train, that cadre would train 1 additional group, but then the discipline would go to shit.
Yes.
That's what I heard. So it doesn't last. It doesn't stick.
No. But, it is what it is.
And I know a lot of you guys that I talked to that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan, talking about trying to train the Iraqis or the Afghanis is like trying to train pigs on meth to disco dance.
Yeah. That was a waste of time and effort.
Basically. Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Just is what it is.
So
it's a shit show in slow motion.
A favorite video of mine is the video of them trying to train the Iraqis how to do jumping jacks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, that's classic. That's a classic. God damn it.
Yeah, guys
what has this all got to do with those 2 attacks?
We're going to see more of it.
We're going to see more of it, for 1. And 2, let me get rid of that one there. That's not a useful screen. Here we go. Here's the Cybertruck itself. Look at the condition of that.
Yep.
No piece of paper survived that. Fuck you. Okay? Straight up fuck you. No piece of paper survived that. And they've clearly cut away the doors. You can see the doors down here. They've cut material away.
Mm-hmm.
But this government that we have is clearly, at the very least, looking the other way when they know shit like this is going to happen. At the very least, they're looking away.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only conclusion you can come to.
Yeah.
And listen, what we're talking about here is not outside the scope of impossibility. They've done this before.
Yeah.
I mean, this is espionage 101, except instead of it happening in a third world nation, we're doing it within our very own.
They're doing it yeah. Yep. Which, again, is what leads me to believe we're operating under an OGUS.
Yeah, listen, the NSA and the CIA have cracked all of the messaging apps. You cannot use anything that they can't decrypt.
They built some of them.
Yeah. They can literally, if you carry a cell phone, they could track where you were within 50 meters going back probably a decade and a half.
More than likely.
You're walking around with a huge homing beacon on you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me that they haven't put together the cell phone trees and found out where these people are operating out of. They know where they all are. They're just not doing
I know how to do that.
Yeah.
You've watched me do that.
Yes. And he's one guy. They have whole farms of dudes with 30-pound brains.
Yep.
That's all they do is get paid between $120,000 and $150,000 a year to basically farm out their intellect to figure this shit out.
Look, the last unit that I was in, we did the intelligence for guys like you and other tier 1 proximal activities. I was selected to that unit, and it's not like special forces selection or anything like that. Your face goes up on a fucking board in the unit, and everybody goes, yeah, I know that guy. And then everybody either vouches for you or says, no, we don't want him. Everybody has to want you to get in. When I got there, I was bottom of the middle of the pack brain power wise. We had one guy named Neil who was breaking encrypted North Korean 5-figure traffic where they encrypt every word into 5 numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they encrypt that. This guy was breaking that code with legal pads, a pencil, a slide rule, a pack of Marlboro Reds, his coffee, and a bologna sandwich.
You've told me about this guy.
I fucking shit you not.
Yeah.
And that guy was like, the brain power that takes. And these guys they've got rooms full of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they look for them. And in a lot of cases, like even in the stuff that we were doing, if I look back on some of the stuff that we were doing, I'd have to violate NDAs, and that's not going to happen here. Sorry. But I can tell you that I can look back on it now and go, we probably shouldn't have been doing that. We probably should not have been doing those things. Because you're isolated in your little cells, because you're working in your teams or your groups, or you're attached to whatever activity, you don't think about whether or not you should be doing. You're not thinking about the morality of it. You're not thinking, is this actually good for the citizens of the United States? Am I really, doing something that needs to be done here? Or am I helping this corporation over here? Am I helping KBR get another fucking contract?
Yep. There you go. There you go.
And that's how that shit works. That's why so many of us stayed in and did all of that stuff. We're not looking at it from that angle.
No.
We're looking at it as we're high speed. We're supporting an activity.
Well,
I know these guys. I like them.
You're at the bottom looking up.
Yep.
You're not one of those guys at the top pulling all the strings looking down.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely. And I worked for, one of my bosses was Mike Hayden. He was the director of the NSA at the time. I met the guy. He was a nice guy. And it is my opinion that somebody got to him after he was made director of the NSA. Because I didn't see any signs that guy was...
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't at least one of the former Bush presidents work for the CIA or NSA?
One of the former Bush presidents what?
Work for the CIA or the NSA?
I believe that was Bush Senior.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we had an individual who worked for the CIA who's capable of
Bush
thinking
Senior.
that way and later
Mhm.
became the president of the United States. What could go wrong?
Gosh, I don't know what could possibly go wrong. And I don't think that Bush being president was an accident or an election.
No. They've
Honestly.
been pulling the strings, picking the people they wanted to sit in that seat because it's no longer viable. And there's other people pulling the strings. And we're seeing it right now in real time in Technicolor as they implode our very country from within.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the meat caser box.